And here, as you can see, I am referring to the name of this variable plus your point is points. Okay, I am referring to the name of this variable in order to output this value to the screen, plus a new line character. txt game status.setText, continue the game. Old txt calculations value, your point is points. Okay, and here I am assigning this value, this points, this string value to this old txt calculations value, so that the user can see the points of his or her game. Okay, of his or her game. This return statement here is saying that the application is not allowed to execute the lines of code after this return statement. Okay, so I am putting this return statement inside of this if statement here. Okay, so if the flow of the application enters this if statement after executing these lines of code here, okay, it's gonna reach to this line of code here that says return. And this means this return is actually like a break statement. It's gonna actually break out of this method, out of this onClick method. Okay, it's not gonna actually execute the lines of code after this return statement. Okay, and then it's gonna actually break out of this onClick method, so that the user need to actually click on this img dice again in order to execute some other lines of code here. Okay, and this return statement, remember, means break out of that method. Okay, you can use this return statement in all of your methods if in some circumstances you want to actually break out of that method. Okay, so let's actually continue adding some more lines of code so that it will be more meaningful for you and it will make sense. Okay, so after this ending curly brace of this if statement, as you can see, we have an if statement here. Okay, so after this ending curly brace of this if statement, let's actually continue adding some more lines of code here. Okay, and here still we are inside of this onClick method, as you can see here. Okay, after this if statement here, let's actually create another if statement. If game status is equal status dot proceed. So now let's actually create an integer variable int dice sum assignment operator. Let's roll the dice. Again, I am trying to actually assign the returned value of this method to this variable. Okay, and here let's actually create an if else statement. If dice sum is equal to points. Okay, if the value of this dice sum variable is equal to points, here game status assignment operator status dot 1, the user wins the game. txt game status dot set text you won. And here let's actually make this img dice invisible, and let's actually make the btn restart visible. Okay, and then let's actually create an else if statement here. Else if dice sum is equal, remember this double equals operator is the equal operator. Else if dice sum is equal to 7, here I am referring to the name of that constant 7. Okay, then game status is equal to status dot lost. So this means that lost the game, and here I can just type in txt game status dot set text, and then inside the parentheses I can just type in you lost. Okay, and then let's actually make this img dice invisible. Okay, and let's make the restart button visible. btn restart visible. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So now let me actually explain this block of code here again. Here I am actually creating an if statement, and I am saying that if the value of this game status variable is equal to status.proceed. So remember, when the flow of the program reaches to this case statements here, as you can see, the status of the game is status.proceed. And then it's gonna actually reach this line of code, and then it's gonna break out of this method. Okay, it's not gonna actually execute these lines of code here anymore. So the user need to actually click on this image one more time, and when the user clicks on this image one more time, it's gonna actually check this condition again. If game status is equal to status.not started yet, so this condition is not true, so it's gonna actually start to execute these lines of code here. Game status is equal to status.proceed. That's right. Okay, here we actually put this value to this game status, so it's gonna actually execute these lines of code here. Here I am actually creating an integer variable int dice sum, and then I am assigning the returned value of this method to this variable. And here I am saying that if the value of this dice sum variable is equal to value of this points variable, then game status is equal to status.1, txt game status dot set text u1, make img dice invisible, make btn restart visible. So hopefully these lines of code make sense to you. And here I am saying that else if the value of this dice sum variable is equal to 7, okay, so remember the value 7 here is assigned to this constant, okay, and here I am saying that else if the value of this dice sum variable is equal to 7, then game status is equal to status.lost, so the user lost the game. And here I am assigning this value to this txt game status, make img dice invisible, and make btn restart visible. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Inside of this onCreate method, after the ending curly brace that is actually related to the setOnClick listener of this img dice here, I want to actually refer to the name of this btn restart game dot set on click listener new view dot on click listener, and here I can actually put the lines of code that are actually related to the on-click listener of this btn restart game. Okay, so here I can just type in game status is equal to status dot not started yet, txt game status dot set text two double quotes, txt calculations dot set text two double quotes, and old txt calculations value assignment operator two double quotes. As you can see, I am assigning an empty value, an empty string value to these variables. Okay, and then I can actually make the img dice visible, okay, and make the restart button invisible, btn restart invisible. Okay, when the user clicks on this restart the game button, it's going to actually execute these lines of code here. First of all, it's going to actually assign the value status.not started yet to this game status variable, and then it's going to actually assign the empty value to this txt game start, and then it's going to assign the value, this empty value, to this txt calculations, and then it's going to actually assign this empty value to this old txt calculations value, and then it's going to make this img dice visible and make btn restart invisible again. Okay, so let's actually run our project and let's see how our game is actually running. Okay, use the same device for future launches. Okay, so as you can see here, our application is actually running on this emulator. So let's actually click on this image here in order to start the game. So it says you rolled 6 plus 3 equal number 9. Your point is number 9. Continue the game. So let's actually click on this image again. You won. So our point is number 9, and we rolled 4 plus 5 number 9. So because these two values are actually equal to each other, so we won the game. Let's restart the game, and then let's actually click on this image here. You rolled 1 plus 2 3. You lost. Okay, because because the value of this dice sum is 3, we lost the game. Let's restart the game. Click on this image. You rolled 4 plus 5 9. Your point is 9. Continue the game. Your point is 9. you rolled 2 plus 5, 7. Okay, because the value of this dice sum here is 7, we lost the game. So now we can actually restart the game and continue playing this game.